came to the park because I thought I'd be alone here. And when I got here, I was like, great, no one's here. And then as soon as I got the camera out, like 10 people have just showed up. But I figured I'm not gonna let it stop me from filming. They're all looking at me like, what is she doing? But oh well. I'm gonna talk about meditating today. I did my longest meditation that I've ever done on Friday night. It was 1 hour and 45 minutes. And I wanted to talk about it because a friend of mine in the group that I do a mentorship group with, he was talking about how he struggles with meditating, and he doesn't find it joyful. And our mentor sort of went on to say, you know, the goal of meditating is not to find joy, it's just to be aware of whatever it is that you're feeling. And you know, at least 1 hour of this 1 hour and 45 minute meditation, the first hour was just me being uncomfortable and just being aware of the fact that I was uncomfortable. I was very ill and my chest hurt and I was sniffling and I was cold. I left my window open because I wanted some fresh air, but it made my feet really cold. And most of that meditation was not enjoyable at all. It was just a constant battle between the feeling in my body and then the thought that was attached to the feeling of, ow, that's uncomfortable, or my chest hurts, or I felt very irritable, you know. I was like, I want to move, but I kept my body still and I was just being aware of it. Oh, there's a very cute dog. Kind of hoping it comes up to me to say hello. Hello. Oh, it's beeping. Anyway, where was I? I was very uncomfortable for most of this meditation. And I was trying to the whole meditation was actually quite spontaneous. I wasn't really intending to meditate for that long or to even meditate that night at all. I usually meditate every day for 20 to 30 minutes. But I started listening to this album, Lonerism by Tame Impala. I was listening to it intentionally. I wanted to lay down and have my earphones in and just sit and listen to the album. It's not very often that I do that anymore with music. I tend to just have it on in the car when I'm driving or at work. And the main reason I did this was because Mac Miller's album, Balloonerism, came out in the week, and I purposely set an alarm for when it came out to sit down and just to listen to it intentionally. And then it, you know, prompted me to do it with some other albums, and this one, Lonerism, someone in my life I'm connecting with at the moment. It's one of their favourite albums, so I thought listening to it would give me an insight into their little world. And anyway, I was listening to it, I got maybe 3 songs in and I was like, I really just want to meditate to this. And you know, like for me, what happens when I meditate is, like I said, it's not really about trying to find joy or trying to change how you feel. So for me, in that moment, I had the sound of the album. I had the noise of my thoughts that were attached to the feeling in my body, most of which was about pain and being uncomfortable. And the point of meditating is to move into a space where you're just aware of the things that you're aware of. You're just aware of the fact that you're aware of those things. And when you do that, you just create more space. It either, you know, your awareness kind of like shifts more deeper, or it kind of like elevates up and out. And it's like the noise all just blends into one. So like the sound of the album, the sound of my thoughts, the feeling in my body, it all just blends into the same noise. And my awareness gets further and further away from it, and you kind of have this broader perspective on all of those things that kind of just blur into one. It's sort of like listening to the album specifically, for example. I'll go from hearing it so vividly in my earphones to then it sounding like it's coming from a room upstairs and I'm downstairs, so it's like muffled and further away, and you just have more space between you and the things that you're aware of. And the point is not to change any of the things that you're aware of. It's not to change how my body was feeling. It wasn't to change what my thoughts were saying about the feelings in my body. It wasn't to change how the album sounds. It was just creating space from it. And it gives you space to breathe, you know? And I was attempting to achieve something in particular when I started meditating, because normally when I meditate for a longer period of time, I get a feeling of spinning, and I've wanted to always explore it more, but I've always kind of had a lot of anxiety when I felt it. And as I started meditating, I was like, I wonder if I'm going to get this spinning feeling, and if I do, I'm gonna try explore it more, because I felt in a good space, you know. And I felt like I could ease into it this time without being anxious, perhaps. And so I then started trying to take control of the meditation, and I got more uncomfortable and I got more irritable because I wasn't experiencing this feeling. I was like, when am I going to feel this feeling, you know? And again, like, it's that idea of when you start trying to make the meditation something, when you start trying to get something out of it, it doesn't work, because that's just not how it is. It's not what meditation is. It's just allowing it to unfold, you know, however it does. And so then the meditation became part of the noise, you know, the sound of the album, the feeling in my body, the thoughts that were attached to the feeling in my body at the time, and then the thoughts around trying to get this something out of the meditation. I then had to shift those into the noise, you know, and let that blend into the noise and take myself further away from it again. And then when I did that for long enough, I got the spinning feeling. And it's weird, you know, it's like, imagine like this is me laying down and the spinning is like this way. It's like I'm laying like this and my head is here and I'm spinning around like this, but then I'm also spinning around like this and then like that as well. Like, it's a weird feeling, and it starts going faster and slower, and I started to feel like my heart rate go up a little bit when I was spinning quickly, because I was like, whoa, it feels weird, you know. But then I eased into it and I allowed it to happen, and nothing much really happened. Like, I was like, maybe something crazy like will happen, I'll get some profound insights into life and consciousness and stuff. But you know, I experienced it, and during the spinning I eased into it and it started to slow down and I sort of got comfortable in it, and I just asked, like, where am I? Like, what is this feeling? What am I aware of right now? What is the spinning? And the insight that came to me was that it was my energy outside of my body. You know, like, we all have energy around us. We're like contained in a body, but we have vibration and energy that's around us as well, outside of our body. And supposedly that's what I was feeling, and I don't know if that's true or if my brain just made that up, and I don't really know what I'm supposed to do with that information. But that's the insight I had. And that part of the meditation probably lasted 10 minutes. And then I had maybe 5 minutes after that of feeling uncomfortable again. And then I was like, I've had enough now. And came out of it and realised that it'd been, nearly 2 hours. This is the dog I was watching a minute ago. But it's interesting. I started meditating. The first time I meditated was like 8 years ago when I was 18. And when I struggle with meditation, that is the meditation I always go back to, or that I think about, because it was the most simple and the most effective. And it's very easy to overcomplicate meditation and to try and get crazy, profound insights. Or like I say, like I was doing, trying to make it something, trying to elevate your energy or your consciousness or whatever it is you're trying to do. When really meditation is very simple, and the more simple you make it, the more kind of effective it is, and the more you get out of it. And the first time I meditated, I'd just been to a therapy session, and I'd cried. And I'd left the session and I was crying in my car, and I pulled over on the way home because I just knew I needed to carry on crying for a little while. And I went and sat in a field near my house where I normally watch the sunset. And I was crying, and there was tears coming down my eyes, and I felt the breeze on my face, and I felt it colder in the streams where my tears were. And my mind at this point was rushing with thoughts about what I'd been talking about in therapy, and sort of just fueling the emotions and the crying and the pain. And as I became more aware of this feeling of like the breeze on my face, I was watching the breeze and like the grass in front of me, and then like bits of my hair were like, blowing into my face as well. And I just took a deep breath, and I realized all those things in the same way that I was doing my meditation on Friday night, like everything just blended into the same noise. And then my thoughts kind of just blended into it as well. And for a moment, like my thoughts just went really quiet, and the emotion just stopped. And I stopped crying, and I closed my eyes, and I was just feeling the breeze, and I was just becoming acutely more aware of everything that was actually happening in the now, rather than what was going on in my head, and rather than what the pain felt like. And it was very, very simple, but it was the best feeling in the world when I felt it. It was like that wave of relief that came over me. So yeah, it's a magpie. That's all I've got to say. If you haven't meditated today, or you've never meditated ever, give it a go. Yeah. It's crazy how vividly I can remember that first meditation. It's such a grounding memory for me. Like that first time of really being in the present moment. And I have moments at loads of different points in my life after that where I was really very truly present and mindful and just incredibly intensely aware of being in the moment. And those memories are so vivid and ingrained, and I sort of flip through them often as I meditate to get myself back into the present moment, And that is always the first one that I go back to. And maybe it's so vivid because I've always gone back to it and I've just repeatedly remembered it. And maybe I don't even remember it correctly. Maybe it wasn't even that good, but I've just made that up. But still. quite proud of myself. Loads of people came into the park, and do you know what's typical? Is that as soon as I'm finished, there's basically no one here now. Can I zoom in? No. I want to get my teeth out and zoom in like this. What would you do if I turned the camera on and I was just sat here like this for 15 minutes? It'd be quite nice, actually. I hope you can hear the birds in the background, and I hope there's not too much noise from the people that were around in the park. It's cold. Look at this key ring. Okay, I think I'm gonna go. Bye.